Hola amigos, ¿qué tal? Stuart here from Spain Speaks, coming to you today from a secret location. I'm on my way to another secret location to film this video, one of my favorite locations here in this area. I can't tell people where I am because I had a comment from an irate citizen of this country saying to stop telling people to come and live here because there aren't enough jobs for the local people. So why am I telling people to come and live in this country or any other country? So we'll keep my location secret for the time being. Lots of comments from the videos over the last few days, and we'll go through some of those main points and I'll give my opinion on some of those. So let's go down to my filming location. And to be honest, it's not the first time somebody has left a comment telling me to stop making these videos. Lots of people don't seem to understand what I'm doing. They think that I'm trying to bring people to Spain and they're going to work in the local economy. That of course is not one of my objectives unless they're going to be teaching English. That is a way to work in the local economy. But apart from that, I never recommend working in the local economies in either Spain or this country here. Again, can't mention the name. And that is one of the topics that we're going to be talking about today, labour reform. I said yesterday that Pedro Sánchez has mentioned that he is going to reform the labour market in Spain. It's going to be interesting to see what he does or what he plans to do. Remember that labour reform is one of these hot topics in Spain. Everybody recommends Spain to change its labour market or to reform it, but it's something that governments never seem to do. And a lot of people asking, what's the problem with the labour market in Spain? Well, the problem is that it's a very uneven market. It's not a fair labour market. You've got some people on very, very good contracts, very difficult contracts to break, very difficult for them to get fired. And if they do get fired, they get a huge payout. And basically this makes it impossible for small businesses to do anything in Spain, to hire a lot of workers, because if business goes bad, you have to pay out a lot of money to get rid of workers. And that is a huge disincentive for a lot of small businesses. Myself included, I'm very cautious about hiring people because the market goes up, the market goes down. And if you get caught in one of those down cycles with a lot of people on the books, you can get in a lot of trouble, or at least that has been my experience. Of course, it did change a little bit back there a few years ago. The Prime Minister at the time, Mr. Rajoy, reformed the labour market slightly. He made that cost of firing people a lot cheaper, but it's still a lot of money if somebody has been working for you for a long time. And people that work in Spain know exactly what this figure is and how much money they're going to get if they get fired. And a lot of the times you have conversations with people that say, well, if I get fired, I'm going to get 40,000 euros, I'm going to get 50,000 euros. They're going to have to pay me 100,000 euros to fire me. And as I said before, for a small business, very, very difficult to find that type of money. If I had to pay 10,000 or 15,000 euros to a worker, I'd probably have to shut the company. And that's one of the dilemmas that a lot of people have. So what is the labour reform going to be? Don't know. We'll wait and see. But I'm not optimistic because, as I said, it's been spoken about before, and government's very, very reluctant to change the situation. And obviously the labour situation in Spain turns a lot of people off opening a small business. They only do it if there's no other option. A lot of people prefer to try and get a job working for someone else or trying to get a job in the government, which is still a very, very popular thing for people to try and do. To get those government jobs where they're going to have a safe job for the rest of their life. And as I have mentioned in other videos, people spend years and years sometimes studying to get one of these jobs. I had a student a couple of years ago that spent 5 years studying. She failed the exam twice, and I think on the third, maybe the fourth attempt, not really sure, she managed to get that job. And of course now she can start her family, she can buy a house, she can do all of those things that she couldn't do before because of that uncertainty. And uncertainty is one of the key words. If you don't have one of these good contracts, if you have a part-time contract, a temporary contract, you can go from contract to contract to contract, and it makes starting your life very, very difficult. Now, a lot of people yesterday also saying that Pedro Sánchez is perhaps a little bit too optimistic with his prediction that the crisis is going to be over, or the economic crisis at least is going to be over, or it's going to last until until 2023. Some people saying that that's just not realistic, that it's going to be a lot longer. Somebody said more like 2033 or maybe even 2030. And of course, as we saw back in 2008, the crisis took a long time to get over. Maybe 6 years, maybe 5, depending on the sector. But for a lot of people, it was absolutely devastating. And of course, this one apparently is going to be a lot worse. Lots of people losing their jobs, lots of people going into the unemployment market, and it's going to be a huge problem to create jobs and get people out of that unemployed situation. And what are the jobs going to be like in the future? Some of the key sectors being decimated, being destroyed. We've talked about tourism endlessly, and of course that's going to be a huge problem to overcome. But that's what we pay politicians for, right? To come up with the ideas, to come up with ideas to rejuvenate the economy, to come up with ideas to get people into employment, to come up with ideas to create jobs. So we have to hope that they are able to do that. But I'm a little bit skeptical, as you probably know, of what governments can do, especially governments in Spain, obviously governments in other countries as well. But I have seen that firsthand in Spain here. Very, very difficult to create jobs. And you can't just pull a rabbit out of a hat and get people back into work. It just doesn't work that way. So not looking good there. I don't want to be too pessimistic and say that it's going to be a 10-year recovery. I'd like to think that we could get some economic recovery before then. My son is 10 years old at the moment, and in 10 years' time he's going to be going into the labour market. So hopefully it can recover sooner than later. And of course he can look forward to some type of future. But at the moment, for a lot of people, not looking good. And again, as we have mentioned in various videos, the youth in these countries, both this one here and Spain, are the ones that suffer. They're the ones that have to leave. They're the ones that have to go to other countries and look for jobs. They're the ones that have to leave their families, leave everything they have known up until now and go to other countries. I mean, it was my situation as well. I chose to come and live in Spain. I didn't have to leave Australia. So in that sense, I don't really know what people go through that are forced to leave a country. But of course it is difficult. It's not easy to adapt to another country. But I always look at it as a challenge. And in general, in my experience, the pros have outweighed the cons, I would say, over that 20 years. And I've been able to work constantly, and things haven't been as bad for me as they have been for other people, especially the local population, as I said. Now, lots of talk in Spain in recent times about the monarchy, whether Spain needs to change its system of government, maybe go to a republic state. Don't know whether that would be a good idea or not. The comments seem to be divided between that, 50-50. Of course, Juan Carlos, the ex-king, has fled the country. He's been spotted apparently in Abu Dhabi. One newspaper reported today that he caught a flight from Vigo to the UAE, and that is where he is at the moment, probably spending his time there in luxurious digs with the royal family there. Very opulent lifestyle in that part of the world for royals. And I'm sure he is getting everything he needs and is living, as they say, like a king at the moment. And of course, this whole topic has divided the government apparently. We can see that Podemos has been pushing hard. Pedro Sanchez has been a bit more moderate. He's also trying to control people in his government that might be anti-monarchy. And of course, it's a bit of a difficult situation for him at the moment. And of course, for the current king, Felipe, as he is involved in another scandal. His reign, as we know, has been dogged by scandal. His brother-in-law, of course, and now his father. So not good for him. They do their best. They've been on a public relations tour recently, going to different parts of Spain, and a lot of promotion about his daughter, the future Queen of Spain. That is, of course, if the monarchy lasts. But I would put my money on the monarchy continuing in Spain for the time being if I were a betting man. And of course, the health situation in Spain, another place in Spain put into lockdown, Aranda del Duero, there in Castilla y León, put into a lockdown situation. So things not looking good there. Case numbers on the rise, so not good from a health situation. Catalonia is also talking about restricting nightlife. There's been a problem in the Basque country apparently with certain discotheques that have had a lot of people catching the virus after attending these places. And of course, as we know, nightlife in Spain, one of the big focal points in recent months, as people go out and about, start drinking, forget about the social distancing, share drinks, drinks, share cigarettes, and this virus, as we know, moves fairly quickly in those situations. So more restrictions to nightlife in the future in Spain, I believe. Here in this country, nightlife has been seriously restricted. I saw on the television the other day that in Lisbon and Porto, nightlife has all but come to a halt. There is a restriction on nightlife in those cities. I think 9:30 is the maximum time, and a lot of places are only selling coffee and cakes, and restrictions being put on the sale of alcohol and nightlife in general in this country. And it's starting to happen more in Spain as people realize that it is one of the key problems. So on that note, I'll start to wrap the video up from my secret location here. Again, not telling people where I am today, just in case some of the locals get upset that I'm encouraging people to come here and steal their jobs. Wouldn't want that to happen, of course, and we also wouldn't want remote workers to come here and spend money, or retirees to come here and spend their hard-earned savings either. Questions and comments, please leave them in the section below. Give the video a thumbs up if you liked it, thumbs down if you didn't. See you in the next one. Hasta luego.